So this world with no constraints, we would put in other constraints.
Well, so I mean, that is an interesting question, which it comes up a little bit in this discussion of purpose, because if you look through different kinds of human values and ask for each one of them, whether this condition of a solved world would allow us to realize that value to a high degree. For some values, the answer is clearly yes, in a fairly trivial way. So, for example, pleasure as a sort of psychological state of positive affect would be trivially highly realizable in this condition of a solved world, in as much as you would have neurotechnologies that would allow you to directly induce pleasure in brains. And for a bunch of other values as well, it's pretty straightforward, given these very strong assumptions, like that you actually have technological maturity and like a really positive governance structure that like that you could check the boxes. But some values are more complex in that, in fact, it looks like, at least prima facie, they might be undermined by this condition of a solved world. So purpose is one of these, that some people think it's important for a human life to have purpose in it, because it makes the human life better. I think plausibly it would add some value to the human life. And then you can ask, in this condition of a solved world, can you have purpose? And so then you can distinguish, first of all, there is the possibility of artificial purpose, which you certainly could have. So this is like you set yourself some goal, and then that goal might then require you to take various efforts if you want to achieve it. And you could define the goal such that you wouldn't be able to use the various shortcuts that are available at technological maturity to achieve it. So we already have examples of this in games and sports. So say you're playing golf, you set yourself this arbitrary goal of getting the ball in the holes in sequence. And moreover, the part of the goal is that you're supposed to achieve this using only the means of a golf club. Like, even though it would be a lot easier just to pick up the ball with your hand and transport it, you kind of bake that into the goal. Like, you want the ball to go into the sequence of holes using only this very specific set of means. So similarly, at technological maturity, if you adopt some goal and part of the goal is that you're only supposed to use your own effort to achieve it, rather than, say, ask a robot to do it on your behalf, then you would have a purpose in as much as the only way you can now achieve this goal that you have is by, exerting yourself. So this would be, I call this artificial purpose, in as much as the actual objective here is kind of just randomly made up, just like the golf example. But that is something that people do a lot currently, and you could certainly do that in utopia as well. You could imagine much like better, more complex games that maybe encompass a larger portion of our lives. Like more of our lives would be like inventing and playing different kinds of games ourselves and with each other. And so that might at least partially allow you to realize this value of purpose, but you might think there is a special value to natural purpose, like purposes that exist independently of our sort of desire to create purpose, that there's like something slightly less than sterling grade of a purpose that's just made up for the sake of having something to do. And currently we have a lot of these natural purposes. There's just a lot of things that need doing in the world where there's like real negative consequences to you if you don't do them. Like from trivial, like you have to brush your teeth every day or you get gum decay, right? Or you could try to help people in desperate poverty because otherwise they really will suffer, and you could actually help some people through your work, and et cetera, at various scales, like in local community. And so there is a lot more of a question mark to what extent there will be natural purposes for us in utopia. I think there is ways in which that could be natural purposes that have to do with sort of social, cultural entanglements that, like a simple model, which is kind of a bit reductionist, but illustrates the general principle, is like, suppose that you have two people and A happens to have the desire that B gets what B wants. So like A cares about B and wants B's wishes to be fulfilled. Now, if B then wants to, as it were, give a gift of purpose to A, if actually having a natural purpose makes A's life better, B could then wish that A does something on
I
their own
get it.
steam for the sake of B. Yeah. And so like if you have it like in a binary with A and B, and like it sounds a little hokey, but I think more subtle ways of that, like where we have sort of traditions that we want to honor, or societies that have various ways of doing things that you actually care about. I think that might then be a certain natural purposes that could survive.
Yeah.
As well as various spiritual practices might be another source.
Yeah. Okay.